By Daniel. I had never felt so small in my life. There I was, standing in the middle of my daughter's living room, holding a carefully wrapped box, watching her husband smirk as he eyed it. I knew he thought he was clever, that he could get a cheap laugh at my expense. He didn't know that this gift wasn't about money or style or even modern trends. It was about memory, about legacy, about love. "Dad, are you serious?" my daughter's husband Mark said, raising his eyebrows. "A vintage camera? Who even uses this anymore?" He laughed, a sharp, condescending laugh that made my chest tighten. I forced a smile. "It's not just any camera, Mark. It's something special." "Oh, I'm sure it's special," he said sarcastically. Then, before I could protest, he tossed it onto the couch as if it were a paperweight. My daughter, Emma, winced. She knew how much thought I'd put into this gift. I had spent weeks searching for it. Not online, not in some generic store, but in an old shop tucked away in the city where the owner smelled of cedarwood and nostalgia. It had taken me 3 days of bargaining, hunting through shelves covered in dust, and talking to people who knew about old cameras to find this one. "This isn't just a camera," I said, trying to steady my voice. "It's the one your mother used to take all our family photos. Every birthday, every graduation, every silly vacation picture. It all started with this." Mark laughed again, louder this time, and I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks. "You mean like a relic? Come on, it's just some old gadget. Nobody uses these things anymore. Honestly, Dad, stick to giving gift cards." I wanted to scream, to tell him that he didn't understand the story behind it, that he didn't know what he was holding, but I didn't. I couldn't. I just watched, helpless, as he picked up the camera and carelessly tossed it onto the floor. The leather strap snapped, the lens tilted, and my heart sank like a stone in a river. Emma's eyes were wide, her lips pressed tightly together. She could see the anger building in me, but she also knew I had learned to control it for her sake. "Mark," she said softly, a warning in her tone. "Relax, it's fine," he said, brushing it off as if it were nothing. "It's old, it's useless." I took a deep breath and then I smiled, a calm, quiet smile that I hoped hid the storm inside me. "You know," I said slowly, "you might think it's useless, but it has a story, something no new gadget can ever have." Mark smirked. "Oh, really? And what's the story? That it's old enough to collect dust?" I shook my head. "No, the story is that this camera captured moments no phone or modern device ever could. It's the laughter of your wife as a child, the day she learned to ride a bike, the moment she graduated. Every picture taken with this camera was a memory, a piece of time frozen forever. And now, somehow, it's supposed to be just trash to you." He rolled his eyes. "It's still just a camera, Dad. Seriously, get over it." I felt my hands tremble, but I didn't give up. "You don't understand," I said, my voice firmer now. "Before she was yours, Emma's childhood was ours. Her mother, God rest her soul, captured every single memory with this. And now this camera, it's like a piece of her heart. Every click was her way of saying, 'I love you, family.' And you just threw it away like it was nothing." There was silence. Mark didn't know what to say. He just looked at me, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his smug eyes. I walked over and picked up the camera from the floor. The strap was broken and the lens slightly crooked. It was damaged, yes, but not beyond repair. I held it gently as if it were alive. "You can't see it, can you? You can't see the love behind it. You never learned to value what's more than money, more than convenience, more than trends. This," I said, tapping the camera softly, "is history, it's love, it's memory." Emma stepped forward then, placing her hand on my shoulder. "Dad, it's okay. I know what it means. I understand." I smiled at her. "I know you do, sweetheart, but I gestured at Mark, who looked increasingly uncomfortable now, "he has a lot to learn." Mark shifted awkwardly, finally putting the camera down carefully. "Look, I didn't realize." I let him trail off. Words weren't enough for him now. The reality of what he had done, what he had almost destroyed, was beginning to settle in. I could see it in his eyes, the faint regret, the recognition that some things weren't meant to be mocked. I set the camera back on the shelf where I had intended it to go. It wasn't just a shelf, it was a place of honor. "Mark, I hope you remember this lesson," I said quietly. "Some gifts aren't about money. They're about heart, history, and soul. You can't buy that and you can't replace it." He nodded slowly, shame replacing his arrogance. I'm sorry, I really didn't mean." "You didn't mean it," I interrupted gently. "But now you know. And maybe next time you'll think before you dismiss something just because it doesn't look valuable to you." Mark didn't argue. He didn't mock. For the first time, he seemed small, humbled, not by me, but by the weight of something he didn't understand until now. Emma hugged me tight. "Thank you for not giving up, Dad, for standing up for what matters." I hugged her back, feeling the warmth of love and memory fill the room. The camera was safe, the story preserved, and the lesson learned. Some things, no matter how old or fragile, carry more weight than gold. And that day, I realized that teaching someone to see that weight could be just as important as protecting the object itself. As I left that evening, I glanced back at the living room. Mark was sitting quietly on the couch, looking at the camera with a seriousness I hadn't seen before. Maybe he'd finally understand. Maybe he wouldn't. But the memory, the heart, and the love behind that little camera would endure, long after mockery, long after scorn, long after anything else. And sometimes I thought, that's all that matters.